What to do about the childcare crisis has been a very controversial topic in the state government. Governor Evers set aside $15 million in the state's budget to support childcare providers. However, the Republicans on the Joint Finance Committee have refused to release those funds. Mary Felskowski and fellow Republicans on the Joint Finance Committee argue that continuing childcare counts is essentially more of a temporary Band-Aid to the problem versus an overall solution.
We're not going to release money for childcare counts.
Senate candidate Andy Rich argues that childcare providers are already struggling. Without continued childcare counts funding, the Wisconsin childcare industry doesn't stand a chance.
The Century Foundation did a report, and the economic impacts to the state are over $500 million if we don't, bolster this childcare funding and these programs go under.
And childcare counts is a subsidy to existing childcare centers to try to lower the cost of childcare for the centers that already exist. But we've shown child care counts, and what the governor is proposing does not, and I want to repeat that, Shauna, it does not create any new child care centers. So if the goal is to increase capacity, it falls 100% short of that.
You're putting so many people in a difficult situation. They barely have the money to keep the doors open now. And so if, realistically what the effects of that would be is, would you take a pay cut to do the same job? And that's kind of what they're facing, because that's where that money to pay and incentivize those employees to come in is coming from, and they can't make it without that.
Felskowski said she was disappointed that Governor Evers vetoed the PALS program, as studies conducted over the last 2 years have shown that it expanded areas of growth in the child care industry.
Through the PALS account that we put out there, we increased 351 slots across northern Wisconsin. So we had increased PALS by 15 million, which he vetoed. We could have a new 2,000 slots the way that it was working. Under the child care counts that the governor is proposing, we would be subsidizing daycares, and we would be subsidizing people that have their children in daycare no matter what their income is. Maybe it's 2 doctors. I would be subsidizing people that could more than afford their daycare, as well as people that were very low income. But what about that family that chooses to stay home? We're taking their tax dollars and subsidizing childcare.
Without childcare counts, you are looking at 2,100 programs cut, 4,800 positions in childcare cut, and 87,000 children without childcare. So that's how much this program is affecting Wisconsin right now.
Felskowski said there is such a laser focus on childcare being one of the biggest cost drivers amongst families, but it's inflation as a whole that has caused the devastation, stating they are purely consequences of decisions made by Democratic policies at the federal level under the Biden administration.
So if you weren't spending 50% more on groceries, would childcare be easier to afford in your budget? I think because of all the other financial pressures, the cost of childcare is even more exasperated. I mean, look at what you're paying at the pump, look at what you're paying for your mortgage, look at what you're paying at the grocery store. So all of that added on, it's even, exasperated out the cost of childcare.
Oh, absolutely, but we need childcare to
Correct.
work. We can't pay for any of the rest of those costs, and I think that that's really why it's so highlighted right now, is because it is hard in general to make ends meet for families, and childcare is the only stepping stone kind of in between. Can I even work, or do I have to stay?
So, and I think one of the things you're going to see is, I think wages are going to have to go up to actually offset the cost of childcare. Because if we see an exodus from labor market, wages will have to go up to compensate that.
Everybody knows what it's like to work somewhere that's understaffed, right? That's something that everybody can relate to. And so if you're looking at 87,000 children without childcare, without this act, you think the shortage is bad now.
Felskowski said the counter proposals that have been made may have not been entirely the correct solution, but neither is childcare counts. She said that there are enough people who are well aware that something needs to be done, but neither side has the right answer yet.
And the governor is passionate on it, and he's passionate on children in schools, and I love him for that passion. Our side wants to give parents the money and let you spend it for whatever stage your children are in. And I think I like that idea, but I don't think either side has it right yet.
Right.
And I think we need to have more conversation around it. I just don't think either side has it right yet.
Join me back here tomorrow for more.